Hi, my name is Kate. This is my channel and this is my weekend reads. I'm just going to talk very briefly about a couple of books that I've read in the last week and then talk about what I'm going to spend the rest of the weekend reading and what I might be doing for the rest of the week as well. So last week I had the day off. One day I had off and the weather was glorious. So I lay in the park in the sunshine. I got sunburnt, but I read an entire book, and that book was Susanna Clarke's Piranesi. This was beautiful, so beautiful. It's Clarke's first novel since Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, which is more than a decade old now. Though it's not as chunky as Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. It was I think it's fair to say it's about memory and record keeping and how those two things aren't always accurate. They're not always reflective of reality, and that it can be quite complex to uncover the truth outside of those two things. It was also, I think, really about empathy and kindness in a really interesting way. And I think it was also, it turned out it was a missing person story, but told from an unusual and unexpected perspective, really unusual point of view. And I thought that was really clever and just, it was gorgeous. Like the whole thing was gorgeous from beginning to end, and not like anything else that I've ever read. And completely unlike Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell in terms of tone and plot and setting, but still I think something about the perspective, the view of life felt of a piece with that novel. So yeah, Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. The other thing that I finished in the last week was my book club book for November. So I actually got way ahead of the game here. I read it with heaps of time. Usually I leave my book club reading to the last minute, and usually I hate the book, or if I don't hate it, I'm thoroughly indifferent to it. Not the case here. I loved this book, and that is The Octopus and I by Erin Hortle. And it's just a beautiful cover. So this is an Australian novel, and it's about a woman who's had a double mastectomy. And it's kind of about her relationship with her body and men's relationship to her body after her double mastectomy, and what that means for her sense of femininity, and the way that she is a woman in the world without her breasts. And it's also about environmentalism as like a political standpoint. And it's kind of, I think it sort of comes down on the perspective that it is impossible to be completely pro-environment in everything that you do in this day and age, because we're so interconnected and everything has unintended consequences, and anybody who claims to be carbon neutral or to have no impact on the environment or whatever they claim to be is a hypocrite, and that no matter what you do, there is always impacts, far-reaching or very, very local. This book was just gorgeous, and it had some really beautifully observed moments and observations, and it was also very Australian in its colloquialisms, in its slang, in its turns of phrase, and I would be interested to know how that translates to other countries outside of Australia, because I'm not sure that it always would. But yeah, loved it. I've also just re-listened to an audiobook. It's called Pucked by Helena Hunting. It's a romance novel based about ice hockey player. I've listened to it before. It's part of it. It's the first book in a big series, but I've been having trouble sleeping, so audiobooks help me wind down. And I've actually just started listening to the second one, re-listening to the second one in that series, which is called Pucked Up. So I'll be listening to that going forward, especially because I'm about to start some meal prep for the week ahead. So I like to listen to things while I'm cooking. The other thing that I'll be reading this week is a non-fiction book. I'm looking at doing a non-fiction November. I've only finished one non-fiction book this year, I think. So I think non-fiction November will be good for me because I have heaps of non-fiction books on my to-be read shelf that I just haven't got to. So I'm going to start one of those, and that is going to be, well, actually I have started it. I want to finish it this week because I would like to read 4 non-fiction books over November. And that is The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat by Oliver Sacks. So this is about neurological disorders and all the strange things that your brain can do to you. I thought it was going to be very science heavy, but it's more philosophical, I think. Sort of looking at neurological disease and what that tells us about, or what that could be telling us about the nature of identity and the meaning of life, I guess. I'm really enjoying it so far. So I really want to get this done by the end of the week so that I can try and read a couple of non-fiction books this month. Anyway, that's what I have been reading and what I will be reading. So enjoy the rest of your weekend, and bye.